Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I am here with my friend Rachel Lauren Stone, and she is an intuitive, a medium, a sound healer. And I'm really excited to share your work and share a little bit about you. But yeah, you're listening to Angel Face Magic Hour. I'm Grace. I am a psychic medium. And yeah, I just love to have you introduce yourself. Just say who you are, where you're located, and maybe, yeah. How would you describe yourself?
Okay. Hey, Grace. Hey, happy
Hi.
early birthday
Oh,
tomorrow.
thank you. Yes,
Thank
tomorrow.
you so much for having me. Yeah, I am an intuitive medium, a Reiki master, a yoga teacher, and a sound healer, and based in South Florida. So if you're near West Palm, find me, connect with me. Um, but I would say that probably my overall title is just a healer, like healer for myself, guide for other people, just trying to have an impact and inspire and share my story and hopefully share inspiration and healing with everybody else.
I love it. And I love to just ask like some fun little questions so people can get a picture of like who you are. But do you know your zodiac, your sun, moon, and rising signs?
Yes, well, I know my main is Leo.
I can
Yeah.
see that.
Um, I think I've got it written down. I'll have to look. I always get confused, so I'll put it in my notes. But one is Sagittarius and the other is I don't know. I'm
Oh, you got big
yeah, you got
fire energy. Do you know your human design? Have you ever done that?
yeah, and I was gonna ask you that actually. Mine is a manifesting generator. And
I'm
what
a
is
projector.
hey, I thought that based on observation, and I couldn't remember if I'd heard it, but that would have been my pick for you.
Yeah, I think human design is so interesting. I only know like about like me. Like I've read about my own, but I haven't begun to like study, but I know like a little bit about it. But I feel like manifesting generator, you have like more of that continuous energy, right?
Yeah, I would say the things that kind of like drive me or that I'm into, like definitely energize me. I know about you because my husband's a projector.
Oh,
So,
he is.
yeah, I have studied him and I have observed him. But yeah, I get a lot of energy by the things that I'm super passionate about and into and like want to be dibbling and dabbling in.
Yeah. And if you were a crystal, what crystal would you be?
Oh, probably. Oh, I don't know. I've got like top three. Well, I love a Morganite. That's the stone,
Mm.
my engagement ring. And I also love rose quartz. And I think both of them just because they're like connected to love and compassion and just that kind of healing, almost
This is
feminine.
a crystal I picked for us. I like to put like a crystal with me while I'm doing so. I picked the rose quartz today. That's what I was wondering if you're gonna say that. So
Hey, there you go.
you definitely have that like pink energy, which I'm very drawn to. I'm a pink person too, so I feel like that energy is yeah, very like um I feel like it's like a heart energy, but in also almost like a childlike energy, like very like an innocent kind of almost like a fairy kind of thing, like
Playful. Yeah,
joyous. Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
Beautiful. So you are a medium. Is this something that has been a recent discovery, or did you kind of know this your whole life?
Well, I mean, it's always the hindsight's 2020, and
You're
I
like,
feel
oh yeah, that makes sense.
yes, I feel like that is exactly every time I hear somebody's story or like a friend's story or a mentor story, I'm like, mm-hmm, I can relate. I can relate. Like we have differences, but there's such similarities of like, were you into the craft? Were you into the Ouija board? Were you into the crystals and things? And I mean, I remember going to Colorado on a family vacation and being like into the fossils and all of the the like earthy things that all the other kids my age were like, what? You bought a book about fossils and you brought home these rock things? Like, what is wrong with you? So yeah, looking back, it sort of all makes sense. And so I hope that if people hear that, that they can connect to my story on, you'll look back and you'll go, oh, wow, okay, yeah, I did need to kind of move through that to make sense for this part that I'm in now. But I was always intuitive and sensitive and like connected to, we had a farm, so I was connected to the animals. I loved the animals. I loved going to the farm every day. The horses, I mean, I just loved that. And I picked up on like everything with adults, just sensing, not even knowing that anything was wrong, like with relationships, like even with my parents, but having a stomach ulcer when I was 8, like I was definitely absorbing things
An
from.
anxiety sponge.
Exactly. And then I remember having, well, I'll preface it with I grew up in a religious household, so it was a very weird dynamic of, you know, we don't believe in witchcraft. We don't, if you're playing the Ouija board, you better not be talking about it. That's of demons and, not of the good and of the white energy. But I remember being at my grandmother's house and I knew she was intuitive. And I was just overhearing a conversation that they were saying a couple of my aunts, like I guess they would be my great aunts, that one was predicting when people were dying, like in her town.
Mm.
She was like freaking everybody out. And then the other one had predicted like a house fire. They said, I had this dream and I could see this fire at such and such. And then the house like literally burned to the ground within the next few days. So everybody was kind of freaked out. And I remember being confused because of the religious stuff that I was like, but I don't think we're supposed to believe this. But because it was my family, it was almost like there were certain exceptions, the exception to the rule, the exception to the story. Well, we know Aunt so and so wasn't a liar, so we'll believe it for this story, but don't take this out in the world, was kind of the vibe that I got. So I remember being fascinated, like, wow, how cool is that? And, oh my gosh, but there really wasn't any more discussion about it. And then
You
I,
weren't like a gifts of the spirit type of Christian. They
no,
weren't into that.
no, that was not me. And
Yeah.
I feel like my story is a story of like suppression.
Mm.
Wasn't in a household that you navigated emotions or I love both of my parents. I have a really good relationship with both of them today, but I did not get that environment that if I was sensing something or feeling something, I was kind of silenced and quiet. You're the child, you don't know what you're talking about. So I do remember certain things where I sensed things were happening, or I could sense that something was going on, but being a child, I couldn't articulate it, and I didn't have an environment that somebody helped me navigate. Oh, okay, wow, this is like your intuition, and this is, yes, this is a power, and this is something to cultivate and, grow. It was really like, no, the Bible knows best, the adults know best, and you're not going to make decisions for yourself. So I feel like anything that was kind of coming in those early years was very like quickly hampered and dampened.
Did you feel like you had to like keep it to yourself? Like not like if you had feelings, like you didn't get to share them?
Yeah, because the examples that I can think of were almost like, well, it wasn't believed. If I gave a crumb and it was shot down, then I wouldn't go back. I'm not gonna ask again or say, hey, I felt this, what is this? And then this happened. So no, it was a very sort of a dissociated era, shall we say.
Did you feel like these were spiritual experience, or like you were like, oh, I feel God's presence or anything, or is it more just like uncomfortable to you?
No, I think it scared me because God was so foreign as far as like,
Everyday life.
yeah, like even in our church, the women didn't speak, the women did not preach, they did not pray, they did not have a voice, so it was very much like,
You listen to outward
yeah,
voices.
yeah. And so I think any indication sort of scared me. I mean, and I can remember I've had dreams and then I knew it was a truth and it came to be a truth, and it was like, I just didn't share it. I just did not share it with anybody because then you get the whole, oh, you're crazy, you're over dramatic, you're dramatizing, you're, all of the things that probably even witches and mediums of years past, had to face.
Yeah, and I feel like when those things come around and it might be true, I don't see many people coming back and be like, "Oh, well, I should have listened to you." Like, I think it's hard to share those things with people who are not
Mhm.
open to hearing.
Well, and growing up in Mississippi, people are afraid. Like they're scared of it. They don't, um, it's just not, it would just be a totally different experience growing up in California with two more liberal parents, and that sort of an environment. Maybe that would have been a different experience. I mean, I'm sure it would have been, but yeah. Um, but it always was around because even with like dating people or, managing friendships or having feelings about, you know, should I be investing my time in this area or with this person? It was just like an inner knowing. Of course, now I know that that's kind of one of the top ways that I channel. So I say that to say it all makes sense now that I can see just the progression and like who I've always been and that it was always there. It's just taken a lot of unraveling and, healing and growing and learning to really like come into it and embrace it and understand like, wow, this is really powerful and this is fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I think everyone has different layers to that fear. Like I have a lot of clients and people that have come on this podcast who have come from different religious backgrounds, and I think it's like there are beautiful things about that because I feel like it establishes that something there is something after. Like I feel like we that's beautiful, but then there's so much restriction in how you experience that or how you're allowed to experience it. So I think it just takes a long time to let go of those fears, even if it's not what you truly resonate with. It kind of like leaches almost into your subconscious.
Yeah. And I was just having a conversation with somebody about that the other day. Of course, on the TikTok is that whole 7M cult thing.
Oh,
And
yeah, so sad. Another
um,
cult.
I would not say that I've ever identified, and the church that I was raised in is the Church of Christ. I've never thought like, oh, they're a cult. But the more I'm kind of learning and the more I'm trying to educate myself and understanding like how much that molded me, that it does feel a little bit cult-like in the sense of the subconscious things that you like have to rewire and readdress and like, wait, hold on, is that my truth or is that the truth that was pressed upon me as a child. And yeah, like, can I have a conversation with God alone? Can I speak to dead people? Am I allowed to do this? Because I've been told that no, we don't do that. That's
Yeah.
not, and so even, yeah, navigating that aspect of, like, what is my truth? What does this mean to me? How does this um come up for me? And then how do I rewire it if I don't, if it's not in alignment with who I feel like my being is. And for me, the ultimate is to lead with love, and sometimes that's a struggle, but
Yeah.
that's that's my goal in this lifetime. So, you know, there's a lot of judgment and a lot of criticism and things that come in with the church too. So just being able to try to almost maybe show this in a different light, that you can be spiritual and you can have a relationship and with the universe and with God, or however you choose to identify that. And that it's not a big bad scary place. Like, life in the universe is good and fun, and we're supposed to have a good happy life, and we've got all of these opportunities and love and people and support. And my whole upbringing was just the opposite. The world is big, bad, and scary. Everything's bad. Don't touch anything. Don't do anything. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be so like it seeps into us. And I feel it's like very generational too. Like my parents didn't raise us in the church. Like we would go like for like Christmas and Easter pretty much. But like,
I went on.
I've talked about this on the podcast before, but my grandparents and stuff were religious, and I think those ideas can like leach into us just in the way that we might even feel about ourselves, and especially that women versus men, what women should do and shouldn't do. And I think like that can create a perception about ourselves that can be almost like self-deprecating. And it's beyond religion too. It's very much like an American
Yeah.
global cultural thing. But I think it really can create these stories in our mind of like, okay, even if I want to do this and I know it's safe for me, like, is it really?
Really. Yeah. Yeah. And am I allowed? I feel
Yeah.
like as women, sometimes we're like, but wait, can I? Like, do I need to ask for permission? Like, I had to ask my parents, I had to ask God, I had to ask the church. You have to have all this permission. So it's like, no, we get to kind of define that for ourselves, which is really cool. And yeah, it's helped me, like, just come into my own and be able to be myself and be true to myself and speak my truth and, like, be me.
Yeah. When you first started doing like readings and stuff, did it feel intimidating or kind of scary to you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was as fascinated as I was like equally freaked out, because I'm like, no, 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 this is too much. Like, if this is too much for me, too much for my body to feel, too much for me to experience. It felt very um overwhelming initially, and then I struggled. And probably people will understand this if they are at the beginning of that journey, or even moving through, if they're interested in mediumship or connecting or anything. The Like, almost still not believing it. Like, even when I would do readings and I would get such specifics and such, good validation, and then I'd be like, now, am I sure? Like, are we sure about that? Like, did that really happen? Or was that all in my head? Or was that person just being nice? Like, but then you look at the facts and you go, no, like, this is definitely outside of me. Like, this has nothing to do with me. I'm the channel, I'm the vessel. This is much bigger than I could ever offer to somebody. So yeah, sometimes I still am like, okay, okay, now I believe.
I think it's like that validation is very important in the beginning, and that's why I think it's good. Like are gonna do an intuitive development class, like that's something that I teach too, and I think it's really important to have some kind of mentor or group, like if you're wanting to like literally work with clients, because it can be so intimidating to go in there, and a lot of times it feels like, for me at least, it feels like I'm speaking a different language. I'm like, I don't know what I'm saying at all. And then like they're like, okay, I get it. And I'm like, okay, thank God, because I really feel like that didn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to have, yeah, like some kind of feedback, whether it's a group or even just asking for that, like when you're first starting, like, hey, can I do a reading like for a discount or something? And
Yeah.
asking people to give you like written
Feedback.
feedback or feedback in the moment so that you can kind of trust and believe. And the other week, I'm going to do an episode about this. I'm excited, but I went to go to, do you know Tyler Henry, the medium?
Yes, I saw that.
I
Yeah.
went to see him live. It was so amazing. I'll doing an episode. I did like a little mini clip of my mom talking on it that I'm going to put into it because I went with my mom. But like it was really validating for me to see him do it because he's, this big, he's on TV, like,
Mhm.
cross country medium. But he was still up there, like kind of being like, this might sound weird, like this sounds kind of strange, like still questioning himself
Yeah.
in that moment. Even though everything he said was accurate, and he's doing it at such a, professional big level, it's still the questioning, the doubt's always going to be there. It's just like, can we trust ourselves, God, source, whatever your belief is, enough that we can break through that to be able to share it? Because
Yeah.
it's like, it's a layer, it's a delayering almost of all the stories, whether that is someone like you raised in the church or someone like me who was like deathly terrified of demons and things like that. So it was really scary for me at first to open up to these things because I didn't believe that it was safe. I
Yeah.
felt like I didn't think that the spirits were demons, but I felt if I opened up to these spirits, then there'd be this doorway and
Something
then
bad.
the demons could come in.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm like, that's like not logical, especially we're creating this for, opening and closing. You're not going to just be constantly open. That's something we learn. But that was something that was really scary to me. I wonder if you can relate to that.
Yeah, because it's like, I feel like there's so much of a generational, and maybe this next generation is experiencing it different, but I definitely feel like our parents and even us in our mid late 30s, there was such a like thing about fear, like fear, fear, fear. And you're right, it wasn't just a religious. I mean, if I think about my town and just where I'm from, things were fear based, it felt like to me. So yeah, then you add that onto it and it's like, whoa, you're gonna open up the doors and like what's gonna happen, and is a demon gonna attach itself to you, and then how are you gonna answer for that? And yeah, you want the purity and the pureness. That's what you want. You don't want to have to think about like the fear of something bad. I feel like there's enough bad. Like I don't know what your experience is, but I have not had an experience with like a negative entity or past loved one or anything like that. Like I'm very intentional and specific on how I am calling in. Not to say that that's not like right here and lurking. I don't know. I don't know enough to say yes or say no. But for me, my intention when I set the stage and the space for reading or for channeling is for healing and for messages, for loved ones or for myself and in that capacity. So I know people believe different things, but that
Yeah,
might,
and my experience is more like emotional, like energies of sadness, or someone was depressed when they passed away, or I don't feel like spirit. I've never had an experience where I feel like a spirit was trapped and like locked in this dimension. Like maybe, but that's just not my gift. Is maybe I'm not meant to connect with those energies. But I feel like it's more like maybe there was something from their past, or we all go through our own healing experiences, and that is healing our ancestors. That is healing these things. Like maybe we experience a reoccurring pain or something, and that's maybe something we are dealing with in this lifetime and healing for those in the past. But I don't see it as they're trapped or something like that, at
yeah.
least in my perception.
Yeah, that's my perception. And I do like that at least we can kind of let people have their own truth and their own experience of it. Like I like that in the way that I've learned and been kind of mentored and taught that it's not so black and white like certain religions and certain church things. It's like you get to express yourself, you get to experience it in your own way. Like there is really no right or wrong. Like the way that you receive is exactly what you're supposed to receive. So I feel like there's kind of freedom and empowerment in that too,
Yeah,
which
and I think it's like, I was saying to you before we start recording, and we'll get into it, but I think for me, it's so fascinating to hear about other people's experiences. Even if they're not the same as mine, I still feel that I can understand my gifts and my, I guess, like way of psychically connecting easier or more deeper when I can hear other people do it. But I would love to have you kind of try to explain to people, like when you open up to, I just call it the channel, but like opening up to that channel, whether it's mediumship or psychic, but like how is your experience? Like I've talked about this on the podcast, like for me, it can be more clairsentient, like I feel things physically, and then some people get visions, some people get more of a audio experience or more of that knowing, like you said. Like I'd love to just have you kind of describe, like, if you were opening up, what does it feel like in your body, and like what's kind of happening internally?
right, yeah. Yeah, I would say my two main clairs are clairsentience and claircognizance. Um and I think that's even a reflection of childhood and early on before I actually started studying mediumship, that now I'm going, well, of course those would be the main, because that has been my world and that's how I've received and given, messages my
Yeah.
whole life. But yeah, I mean, when I am doing a reading, um, I take time to prepare before and do some grounding and guided meditations for myself, because I just feel like the more grounded we are, we were taught, I mean, I'm sure Sloan probably has told you, and you've probably heard it from other people too, that there's kind of like this radio station of what we're trying to meet. Like, we're here and spirit's here, and we've kind of got to ground and they've kind of got to drop, to meet us. And so when I'm relaxed and grounded, and rooted in calmness in my nervous system, that I'm able to open kind of my channel. And I generally will start feeling, whether it be a bodily sensation or lots of times they'll show like their personality. So I'll start feeling, how they work, like if they were bubbly or if they were loud. Or one time a mom came through and I felt drunk. I mean, I felt like physically intoxicated. And the
Don't
girl,
do mediumship and drive, you guys.
no, the girl I was reading for started laughing.
That's so crazy. I can totally understand that.
She's like, my mom was an alcoholic. Like, that is exactly, she would present herself that way because that, like, she was always intoxicated and fun and life of the party. So they kind of show themselves to me, um, in the sense of like how they were here and how somebody would recognize them here. A lot of times I'll get, they call them the goosebumps, the chill bumps. If I'm like really on something, and I'm giving the feedback and the sitter is confirming, then a lot of times I'll show them, I'll be like, oh my gosh, look at that. We're on to something here. So physical sensations, there's buzzing, and it is sometimes it's like coming so quick and it's not making sense to me. So I'm just saying whatever I'm feeling. And I'll just say, okay, I've got no idea why. I'm just seeing mushrooms. I'm just seeing this. I'm just, okay, now I can see these colors and there's like this rainbow. And the people understand it.
Yeah.
The, you know, the one that has passed is giving the information that they need to give. And even though it doesn't make sense to me, it generally always, if not in the moment, I've had some things where I will say, you know, as I'm channeling and reading, and they're like, yeah, I just don't know about that. I don't know. I'll have to ask, or I'll have to think about it, and then maybe 2 weeks later they call me or text me and say, oh my gosh, okay, now this makes so much sense. This happened, or I asked my mom and she confirmed. So it's almost honoring them and not withholding, giving the information.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely feel, and I can feel their emotions, if somebody's wanting to uh apologize, that comes through a lot heavy for me. There's been quite a few who have either um died by drug overdose or accidentally, or were in a situation where they couldn't where they didn't have like the opportunity to say a proper goodbye to their loved one. And so that's always nice when I'm able to give that message, to the person. Um, but yeah, you really never know what you're gonna get, and I
Do
just
you like describe, like if someone was like, I want to get a reading with you, do you just say like it's a mediumship reading, or are you more like it's an intuitive reading and maybe guides, or maybe someone will come in and give other stuff, or is it just going to be like either an intuitive reading with like cards and stuff, or a medium?
No, I have so far only structured them as medium readings. And then sometimes I will, again, it's just always back to the intuition. Sometimes
I
I'll,
think you should be doing psychic readings if you're not.
oh, okay. I mean, I
I'm
have,
just getting a hit on that.
well, I have, definitely done that and done it accidentally, even within the mediumship training and practicing and all. But it's
It
like,
just sounds, sorry to interrupt, but I feel like this is important for you to hear. But I just sounds like a lot, especially when you're talking about the messages and the things that are coming through in your childhood. They're like, tell her this. So I'm like, okay.
I'll tell
But it sounds a lot like that premonition, precognition. That is a very big helpful gateway for psychic channeling. So it doesn't necessarily have to be predictions,
yeah.
but more of that intuitive information that it would be helpful for the person in the moment. Basically like coaching, but
Using,
you're not just bringing Rachel information, you're bringing in guidance for them.
yeah.
So I feel like you're already doing it, but they're like maybe she should like branch out to two different offerings or
Yeah,
something.
because I do. It's
Just a little
thank
idea
you.
for you.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. And I guess that would be validation because if I think about it, the way that I structure them, the bulk of the session is a mediumship reading. But I always pull and I say, one time at the beginning, and I've never done this, never, ever, ever. I've always kind of kept it separate. But one time, a lady booked with me, and I almost canceled because I was already picking up on this just kind of like wiry energy. Like it was, I don't know. I didn't know if I could give her what she needed, honestly, based on the energy that was like coming through. And so I actually postponed her, um, and rescheduled her because I just thought, yeah, okay, I need to make sure that I'm able,
Available.
yeah, and just ethically and morally, like, I just want to make sure that I'm doing right. And rescheduled her, tried to cancel again. She was like, well, no, let me keep a credit and let's maybe work out something later. Da, 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 da. And I was like, okay, what am I missing? Like what she needs something and she's wanting something and I have tools and resources to help her. So I had to drop in for a minute and be like, okay, what am I not seeing? Because I'm just seeing and feeling what's here. I was like, okay, let's have a session, but I'm gonna do this different. I said, I, I need to calm the energy before we do anything. So I said, I know you didn't pay for a sound bath, but we're gonna do a sound bath. And like, if we go over, we go over. If we spend 40 minutes doing the sound bath, but I need
Clear
to,
something out.
yes, for you. And she was fine, and it was a lovely session and a lovely experience, even for me with her. Um, but yeah, I will take that on board because that is kind of validation of how a lot of them turn out anyway, because I will end up pulling cards or we'll end up kind of with my therapy background. Sometimes we'll end up, just having kind of a life discussion and never know where that conversation will take you. So that makes sense.
Yeah, like for me, a lot of, I wouldn't say all of my clients are psychics, but a lot of people that I work with are also opening up to that intuitive gift. And I think everyone can, but I think it's just more natural for certain people. But like when I look at people, I'll see these like I'll just draw for you. This is like a So this is you. It's just a smiley face. But they're like little, it kind of reminds me of the holy fire symbol or like the sacred heart. But I'll see these little flames on people and they're like portals almost. I is how I see it. So it's like a available channel. So with mediumship, to me, it looks more like blue. This is just how I see it. And the psychic is like rainbow looking. So I feel like you have both.
Hmm.
So it's just something I think that could be interesting for you to explore.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, like the channel,
Mhm.
the tuning into that, you're going down, you're going up, you're meeting the spirits in this space. It's so there's, all these other channels we could talk to the fairies or the angels or whatever we want to. Um, or we're open to. And we set that boundary for because we don't want to just talk to like every random spirit. It wants to be the people that are coming in for the reading. But then it's like I see it's like this like a vortex kind of. So information can come in there and it's like you say it's like a download or a feeling or just that knowing, like kind of like different than a spirit giving you the information. It's more just like
Like that intuitive hit.
yeah, an open pathway. I always see it like the way my guide showed to me is very visual, but like like an old school mail room, like where people would sort mail, and there'd be like these tubes where you put the mail in, it gets sucked up to go to the
No.
right floor, like in the like 60s, I just see it like that. I think to help me organize the information, but it's almost like someone, God, source, your intuition, whatever, your higher self, whoever you feel like is the person that's giving you the information, but they're like sending it to you. And then you can pick it up and it's either a picture or maybe it's something you can read or it's just that intuitive information. So it just could be fun to think about.
Mhm. Yep.
So I had to go off on a little tangent, but
I love that.
I would love for you to do a little sound bath for us, but do you care if we go over a few minutes? I want to ask you a few more questions.
At my time for this for the
Okay,
after.
perfect. Because I definitely have a few other little questions to ask you. And then you're going to do a nice sound bath for us. So, anyone who's listening to the podcast, if you've never experienced a sound bath, we'll have Rachel explain and describe that in a moment. But if you are listening to this podcast and driving, which a lot of people do, just pause and then listen to this when you get home because it might make you tired. And other than that, if you are somewhere where you can close your eyes and lie down, that's kind of the most enjoyable way to listen. But if you're walking around, if you're cleaning, I know a lot of people clean, listen to podcasts, you can still enjoy it. But I think if you want to take some time to meditate and enjoy this, that's kind of the ideal experience. But before we get into that, I just want to hear about how did you kind of get into doing energy healing and Reiki and the sound bath? Like, what drew you into that direction?
Well, oddly enough, I did not learn. I kind of call it like the irony. I mean, I have a formal education in like psychology and marriage and family counseling and worked in a intensive outpatient
She's
facility.
smart, you guys.
Yeah, so I had all of these things, and for some reason, I could not help myself because it was just book stuff, you know. So I have experienced a lot of trauma and from childhood to adulthood, but kind of the tipping point was I was going through the ending of a relationship and organically, magically found a coach, mentor. She was a healer and she really specialized in energy healing and sound healing. And I had no idea really what I was even signing up for. But I was like, I cannot live like this anymore. I will die if I do not, if something doesn't help me or change, or I don't feel better or don't see hope, like this is life or death now. So I'm working with this lady. She is introducing me to these things. And then all I could know was like, holy shit, I feel good. Like when I'm listening to that, or if she's giving me a session, I'm like, okay, I can breathe. Okay. I'm not going to die. Like, it's okay. This is not fun. This experience and what I'm experiencing currently is shit, but now I have hope, you know? So it was really all kind of a chance thing of just being introduced to the right person, her having that in her toolkit, her sharing that with me, and me, all I knew was like, crap, I've got to know how to do this. And I've got to know how to do it really for myself. I thought maybe like I would want to share it, but it really was like a selfish thing. So I got certified in sound healing. I did my Reiki, all of my Reiki
You
one
did the sound healing first?
Um, before, well, it was all at the same time, the Reiki and the sound
Oh,
healing. So
okay.
through a sound healing training, and then was also doing Reiki with this, well, her name's Nicole, doing it with Nicole. So yeah, I had never heard of any of that before, like in any like anything. I mean, I've been to therapy for 20 years. I had professional friends. I worked in a hospital was my last setting. Like I nobody in Mississippi was talking about anything of this.
So this
Um,
was like a virtual coach.
yeah, this she was in New York and
Is
I
this
was,
Nicole Rush?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I know her. She is friends with my friend Suzanne. So everyone we meet through Lauren, but
Yeah,
Suzanne did I did
animal.
animal Reiki with her and Nicole let us practice on her dog.
Okay.
So
So
small world.
all
We all
connected.
meet everyone through Lauren, which is how we met.
Right. And yeah, Lauren and Nicole have a connection even before. And it is crazy. It's like I worked with Nicole for so long and now I'm working with Lauren and then here we all are. But yeah, that was how, I mean, it's like by the grace of God that I found her and she had those, services and was that type of a practitioner that offered that. Um
Yeah,
and
we'll link her in the show notes if you guys want to check out her Instagram. She does beautiful like sound healing. She does meditation and stuff too, so I'm sure some people would love to see her
I
stuff.
don't know if that answered, but that was a long answer too. That's how I got into
Yeah.
it.
So
And
then you did your Reiki one and right through Reiki Master.
yep, did that through Nicole.
Have
And
you begun teaching or do you have a desire for that or?
yeah, I have. It's not something that I promote, but I'm definitely available, and can. I actually just did I just did 1 and 2 with my sister a couple of
Oh,
months ago.
cool. That's awesome.
Do that in person. Um, but yeah, part of my a big part of my story that nobody you would not know and none of your listeners would know is that um through that really difficult relationship I like lost all of my power, all of my voice. I mean, it was on the way out before that, but that was like the hammer of like, of me, my identity, who I was, just my voice and myself. And so uh I didn't even finish my sound healing training. I stepped away from that because I was so scared and so intimidated by like using my voice and speaking and um you know being seen and being heard
Oh,
that
look at you now. You weren't ready yet.
that I literally just ghosted that training and then I had to go back and I had to face that. I mean, I did finish in the end and I, graduated. But that is part of my story with how I got here and something that is so important to me that if other people are like in a bad relationship or if they've given all their power away or if they've lost themselves or if they are just feeling like guilt and shame around their situation or where they are or that they're not where they think that they should be, like I am the good example that you can like refine yourself and reconnect with yourself and like find your voice and show up and meet people to be in a space to be seen and heard and supported. And yeah, that was I would not show my voice or face on any Zoom meetings or in any groups. I did not want to introduce myself. I did not want to say my name. I mean, I was literally paralyzed. And so but for the healing of the energy and the Reiki and the sound healing to help me kind of thaw out my nervous system to really give me the space to like heal and process things and to start to like be seen and introduce myself and do things and share and, come to being able to have a conversation with you and know that people are going to see, and hear us and see us.
Yeah. And it's such a testament to your healing to be able to see you do that, and to do it not just once, but again and again. And you started your own podcast. You've been doing it. I've seen you, you've been doing Instagram lives. Like, that's scary to put yourself out there for anyone, let alone someone who's been through traumatic experiences specifically centered around talking and having people look at you. So, you should be proud of yourself. I'm sure you are, but I just want to
Oh,
remind
no.
you.
Yeah, that is one of my biggest callings is that, if there's any woman or any person that can hear that, that's like, how the hell, like, how could you do that? Or how did you get the courage? Like, it's been a process, but it is possible. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah, and I think it's a reminder too that it's like okay to try again. Like even if we feel like we started something and we went back into that fear again, like doesn't mean that you can't try again. That's something that keeps coming up in readings and stuff for people like that. It's okay to even if you feel like you failed, you can try again, like literally doing the same thing and like it can be it can work this time. It can be powerful this time. Like it doesn't just because it didn't work before doesn't mean it can't work this time. So I think people just need to hear that and know like it's okay to go back, whether that's, a school or a thing like that or something you're wanting to pursue that you were really interested in childhood. That's like a big theme for this year that I've been seeing just collectively of like things that we felt weren't important. So we kind of push them to the side. So I think that's something we all can rediscover
It's never too late.
this. Yeah, it's never too late.
Never too late. I mean, I'll be 40 in a few weeks. So like, it's never too late.
Yeah, I'm gonna be 34 in tomorrow. And like I'm sure you probably do too. I have a lot of clients who are in their 60s and their 70s who are like wanting to, heal and let go of stuff. So I know we have a lot of younger listeners too, because I see the demographic. So take advantage of your life. Like, don't hold on to things. But if you're still holding on, it's never too late. Even if we die, it's
Yep.
never too late because someone like us is going to help you.
Do that. You'll do that.
One thing I wanted to say, and then we'll go into the sound bath. When I was listening to you talk about mediumship and just some of the messages that come through for people and how maybe they might not fully get it right away, I find it's almost like a healing and experience, energy healing experience generationally through that. Like for the girl or the person getting the reading to go, oh, mom, like this thing happened, like having that little conversation,
Okay.
that is like what the spirit like wants. Like they're kind of guiding you through that. So I think that sometimes those things happen
Rachel,
for a reason.
yes, look, and even, um, oh my gosh, yes. Like even for my example of just my own family, I was on FaceTime last week with my mom and my nephew. Um, s- he he lost his dad, death by suicide a couple of years ago. And he's, I think, 10 or 11. So he's not really even in an age that he would have a conversation like with an adult about it. But the other day he said, hey, my mom said that you talked to my dad and it opened up a dialogue. And it was the most amazing, like it's a conversation I'll never forget because there you have literally my mom's generation, you've got me, and you've got my nephew. We're all having a conversation around mediumship and connecting with loved ones and what that experience is. And he's got questions about it. He's asking, have I done readings for my mom? My mom's saying yes. It's like a full circle moment of this generational healing. If somebody would have told me I would have had that conversation 2 years ago, I'd been like, I'm not even telling my mom I do this. Like, I will never tell her. And now look at what this has gifted my whole family.
It's so beautiful. My mom, like, I'll share this and then we'll do this sound bath I keep saying, but I just have more things I want to say. But like my cousin came to visit a couple, maybe last month or something, and I ne haven't seen her since I was in high school. She's like older than me and she lives in New Mexico and she does like healing work in a different way than me, more like somatic body work stuff, but I guess she was taking this, I'll have to look up what it's actually called, but this somatic training thing that's close to where I live. So she came and had dinner with us. And it was just like interesting to see kind of that connection point of both of us doing similar work. And it's like we don't really know each other than like a few times we saw each other in my childhood because she's like 15
Oh,
years older than me. Um, but it's just so cool to see, okay, these are like the threads between the family. And like I have a younger cousins like that I got to see last year who were like asking me about like doing readings. They were like, we see your Instagram, like asking me about how it works. And like one of them's more religious. So she was like talking to me about her relationship with God and like how she feels like she still has this connection, but it's like a little different. So it was like really cool. But my mom was like making this joke about how I have to do like the generational healing for the family. She was like, don't, because we were talking about how my other cousin has some health problems and a couple people in my family also do. We have like autoimmune stuff going on, which I think is that's a whole nother tangent, very much connected to our emotions and stuff.
oh, yeah,
Um,
artists in
but yeah,
remission
my mom was,
now. So
yeah.
yeah, that's a whole nother, we could do another podcast on
Yeah,
that.
we should. But my mom was making a joke about like, don't worry, Grace will do all the healing for the generation so that next ones, like
The
my
next one.
younger cousins, they won't have the autoimmune problems. And like she's just joking about it, but like the fact that she sees what I do and stuff enough. Oh, I almost dropped my computer. Enough to make that joke was like healing for me. Like see,
It's
okay, they can see that it's
cool.
a legitimate thing and not just like a little, oh, you're doing your little hobby like healing
Yeah,
thing. Like it's actually
it's really
helping
cool.
people.
I love that.
But yeah, anything you'd like to share with us before we go into the sound bath? We'll share your Instagram, your podcast and stuff in the show notes if people want to get a session with you or just follow you and connect. Anywhere else you have a website?
Yeah, I've got a website. It's just rachellaurenstone.com. That's the Instagram handle too. I am about to launch. I'm actually doing a free 3-day challenge
Oh,
that's
cool.
coming in a couple of weeks for um really
Wait, when's it coming out?
uh the dates I think
I'll
are,
try to, maybe we can put this out right before
oh, that would be
so people
awesome.
can
Yeah,
listen or people
I've got
can
it for
participate.
the 9th, 10th, and 11th. And it's just kind of a precursor for the launch of my online mediumship course. So really connecting with your intuition, learning about connecting with spirit, connecting with yourself, mediumship, spirituality, personal things, sound healing, all of the things, nervous system is going to kind of be in one space for you. So I've got
Cool.
that. Can book medium readings. I may be adding an intuitive reading to that and a psychic reading. Um,
Stay
Reiki
tuned.
here, and if you're in South Florida, I can do in person, but I predominantly do online and through Zoom or FaceTime, any way that somebody wants to connect. But yeah, there are several ways to work with me, or if you want to do something different, or if you don't see something on there, like I don't promote the Reiki trainings, but I'm happy to offer that if somebody's seeking that and wants to work with me. So
Yes, beautiful. Well, we'll put all your links so people can find you. Um, before we start, how would you describe to people what is a sound bath and what do you feel like the benefits of it are?
Ooh, cool. It's kind of one of those things. It's almost like what you were saying about Reiki. Like you have to experience it really to really understand. But the best way, just from a word perspective, it's like an energetic massage for your body. So just how we go and get, a physical massage for your muscles and the tissue and, you know, all of that. It's the sound and the vibration and the tones are moving through, our body and our aura, and it allows for release for things and blockage and tension and spaces and things that we can't, that the naked eye can't see. The sound and the healing is able to kind of penetrate that. And I generally infuse most of them with Reiki, not all the time, but there is an intentional component to that too, of being very specific and, you know, sending Reiki with the sound healing. So even if people fall asleep, like if they don't hear any of it, it doesn't matter, because you're going to receive, just like with Reiki and with the sound, you're going to receive exactly what you need to receive, and you don't need to be alert or conscious or aware. It's going to do what it needs to do. Sometimes people will fall asleep, sometimes people will snore, sometimes people will have a release and cry, and just, release something that needs to be kind of moved and shifted. Some people will feel heat or cool. You might feel tingly. Some people
I
say,
sometimes get itchy.
yeah, some people like their skin is kind of like crawling. Sometimes that's just the body, allowing the space and the movement to release. Uh, if you've got headphones, or if you can come back to this with headphones is a really good experience, and to lay down. If you've got something to cover your eyes, that's really nice, because it just allows to go into a deeper state of relaxation. Drink lots of water after, because it is similar to Reiki in that, we move a lot and you receive a lot. So we just want to make sure we stay hydrated and just kind of tune in and, be open to the experience. Sometimes they feel, really emotional, and then sometimes people are like, I mean, I liked that, but I don't know if it did anything. And then, something may come later that they journal about, and they have some, different reflection or a different experience and a different sound bath. But each one is, individual, and you will receive what you need to receive.
Mhm. Yeah, and if you want to be extra, you can pause this and take it, listen in the bath. That's like my favorite place
Yeah, I
to
love
listen to a
that.
sound bath. But
That
if you're gonna fall asleep, maybe not.
that is the ultimate experience. Yeah. Take it to the top.
But yeah, anything I need to do, I'll probably just close
Um,
my eyes.
I will
I'll
see.
mute me so there's no feedback.
Let me see if I can hit. Okay, I was able to hit original sound on, so I can do that. I thought you may have to. Just mute yourself, and I'm gonna plug in my mic.
Enjoy the sound bath.
And before we start, let me do a little test with you. For my Zoom setup, so it should be compatible, but let me just make sure that you can hear it well.
I feel like it's more quiet than it was.
Yeah, my voice should have just gone down a bit. Okay, let me do a tester with this. I'm actually going to turn my air is on in my house. I'm going to bump that up. Is that clear, Grace? No? And just begin to allow your eyes to softly close. Maybe you begin to kind of notice your breathing as you inhale and exhale. Just taking this time to be right here in this space. Nowhere else to whenever you are guided to do so and at the pace that is right for you, take a few breaths, bringing your awareness to your eyes, and slowly open your eyes and come back.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
Welcome.
Oh, I didn't want to lie down because I know I'd fall asleep, but I'm definitely gonna listen back again and lie down. But it was so beautiful. If
Thank
anyone wants to share their experience with us or with Rachel, feel free to reach out on Instagram. When I post this on YouTube, please comment. I'd love to hear about how that felt for you. Um, for me, it was very physical, like tingly. I felt like a lot moving, more like my throat, my heart space, kind of going all the way through, like into the back. And then, like, right before you had us come back with the chimes, like, it felt like almost like electric, like sparks, like kind of sensation in my feet, which I feel like was like a little uncomfortable, but that's good. But I felt like it was like grounding kind of all the energy that was happening up here. It was like, oh yeah, let's come back down.
you.
Um,
It's
so
moving.
yeah,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's thank you. Thank you for that reflection and feedback.
yeah. Thank you. It felt so good. I was like going very deep. Yeah. So please let us know how it felt. I'm nosy, so I like to hear about people's experience, but I also feel like it is helpful as the practitioner to get that kind of feedback. And I'm sure you have this similar experience. Sometimes it's cool to see what I'm feeling doing it, or even Reiki or whatever, but doing it versus what how they perceive it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we welcome all feedback. I mean, I hope that you're able to use it and come back to it, as much as you want. And yeah, that's kind of what I love and what I love to share. And it's
It was
crazy because
beautiful.
it's like I zone out too and I receive everything too. So I feel I could totally relate with you. I could feel movement in my heart space. I could feel my fingertips and my toes just felt kind of like a tingly, almost like there was just energy around the tips.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah,
Beautiful.
thank you.
Thank you. Well, if anyone wants a personal sound bath, you know how to find Rachel. And then I'll also put a timestamp in the show notes or in the comments on YouTube if you're watching so that you can know when we start the sound bath if you want to listen again. So you don't
Yep.
have to search for it. I was getting compelled to pull a card
Let's
for
do it.
us and for anyone listening. So I'm just going to do that before we close out.
Let's do
So
it.
please, like Rachel said, drink lots of
Lots.
water,
Yeah.
eat some food, stretch, maybe you want to journal, like don't just try not to just rush into the next moment of your day.
Yeah, because it's working even though you may not feel it or see it. So just give yourself grace if,
Good.
things are coming through or coming up. yeah, if you can get to bed a little bit earlier, sleep in a little bit later, just allow
Yeah.
really process that and do its thing.
Amazing. Yeah, it feels so good. And I definitely feel that, yeah, that Reiki energy. Okay. Okay, so these are some of my favorite cards. One is they're double-sided. They're called the Angels and Gemstone Guardian cards. I think this is backwards on camera, but um I'll send you a picture and I'll post a picture of these on Instagram if anyone's listening and wants to see the cards. But one side is like a crystal and it gives us some reflection questions. What I like to do is like journal about these. So these just might be questions that we can like think about right now. And then the other side is like an affirmation. So these are like connected to angels. I have another one that's like mystics and saints and stuff. So they're kind of
Oh,
fun, but we have the angel of flexibility and the angel of good fortune.
ooh, okay.
So being open to, yeah, like how things come in, like
Yeah.
you said, like things might be different than you expect and you might see the outcome, but you
Mhm.
might not know how you're going to get there. So it's just like being open to the opportunities, how they come through, and not just like only staying focused on one way to get there. But we have the green adventurine crystal. This is all about like money and
Yes.
abundance.
Oh,
So
it's
let's
the
bring it in.
baby.
And then this is a jasper.
I
It's
like,
called the leopard skin jasper. I
beautiful.
find jasper too as like very earth energy, like grounding, because a lot of times I find it in like rivers. I
Yeah.
don't know about leopard skin in particular, but I think that's kind of interesting to see where crystals are found, like when you're little, finding those fossils and things like that. But that can show us a little bit about maybe how that energy might help you. But our green aventurine asks us,
I love
do
that.
you wish for more luck? Be assured that you have all the luck you need. It's almost as if you have a four-leaf clover in your pocket.
Mm.
Focus on your vast abundance and you will attract more. You have good luck and great adventures when you travel. So
I love
anyone
that.
traveling soon?
Yeah, we're about to go back to the UK.
Oh,
Yes.
cool. Amazing.
My husband's English, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then we have leopard skin. Are people around you suddenly changing their tune? Have you decided it's time to change yours? Do you need to be more flexible like a leopard? Stalk yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Observe yourself and those around you. Interesting.
Beautiful. Yes, I love leopard and I can so see that. Yeah.
And then we have our affirmation. So the green aventurine, the angel of good fortune. So this is just something we can say to ourselves. I love affirmations. I know that you do too. So sometimes it's fun to write them down. So you can say them out loud. You can even just like look at them. I will like make little phone backgrounds with affirmations. Like it's just like that reminder. When I
Same.
first started using them, it felt really cheesy to like say these things to myself, but I think it is healing to say things out loud. So
Mhm.
it's very helpful.
Words
But
are powerful. Yeah.
our angel of good fortune. I am so incredibly lucky. I have many blessings in my life. Abundance and prosperity are constantly flowing in my life. I am grateful for these gifts. Safe, adventurous travel filled with cosmic coincidence is a certainty.
Perfect.
I
You know
love
what
it.
it reminds me of too? The money mantras from Lauren.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we've been doing this year-long program. I've talked about Lauren a million times on this podcast because so many guests I meet through her. But she was recently on your podcast. I gotta listen back, so we'll link that so people can check out your interview with her, but in general, the episodes. But she created these Mani mantras for us to listen to, and that's like a reminder that you can do that for yourself too. And that's something she talked about, and we've talked about in the classes, like recording yourself. And this is something I share with my students all the time. Like it doesn't have to be this where it's a podcast and you're putting out for people. Like even just saying it for just you in your room, like, and recording it and then listening to it, I feel like is so powerful. I keep getting a little itchy, so I know that is a good message. And then we have our angel of flexibility. So yeah, just being open to how things are showing up, or if, certain things, like you said with that client earlier, like you felt like you had to cancel, but it was really like opening up to maybe it's not the way that I thought
That
it was going to
thought it
be.
was something. Yeah, that is exactly. Yeah. Yep.
So I am flexible and adaptable. I objectively observe circumstances and seize new opportunities as situations naturally shift and change. I bend and flex with the flow of life around me. There is no resistance, only willingness. I love that. There
Mm,
is no resistance,
so
only
good.
willingness.
Yes. I mean, look, I'm a recovering control freak.
Me
So
too.
this is good. Yeah. I'm learning to flow and go with it. And yeah, that's spot on. My gosh.
Yeah. And for some people listening, that might be like a more literal thing, like get into your body, like get flexible, stretch. Like sometimes when we do these sound baths, we need to like move stuff out of our body in like a physical way. Our walking, Rachel's been doing daily walks too, stretching. So you might feel compelled to let things move through more of a physical way too. And like I always say this on like probably every episode, but spirit likes when we like clean stuff out, like let stuff go. That's always a problem for me. I love to collect things and hold on to unnecessary things. So sometimes it is like the flexibility of I don't need to have everything to have what I want. So we just
Yeah.
have to be open. But
Yeah.
I'm open. I'm ready to receive.
Yep. We're open. We're ready.
Arms wide open.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being with us here today, Rachel. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.